Good morning. It's 10:46 on May 10th, 2021. I want to talk about something serious today, but something that is a bit transgressive. I take very seriously the separation of church and state in the United States of America, but I also believe it's important to respect people that are spiritual and understand their spirituality to be the primary point of reference for informing their decisions. This is something that has come up a lot in the last few decades and actually should have had more attention paid to it, specifically regarding not only the constitutional implications, but the implications for truly respecting diversity of faith. This is something that came up very recently, as a matter of fact, yesterday. It was very significant, and I will be moving forward in a further examination of these matters. But I want to start with a particular kind of contextualization, and I want to go back and request consideration of matters that occurred around the time that it is understood that the individual that was identified as Jesus Christ in a contemporary context lived. I want to understand it in a specific frame of reference, and I want to present it to you so you understand my understanding of the frame of reference. Now, this is provided not only through my own study of the scriptures as translated into English, but also from historical documents that have been assembled concurrent, some which are called apocryphal, as well as texts created by people that were historians and that were put into the public purview as a form of historical understanding of the situation, as opposed to one that was about a spiritual explication. It's important to understand that during the time of the Christed One, identified as Jesus of Nazareth, that the area known as historical Israel or Palestine, or under other names throughout time, was under the occupation of the Roman Empire. And that in the context of this occupation, there was an annual process of taxation. Now, the understanding is from the historical text, as was conveyed by a person who is a historian and a noted reporter of information to the public, that there were a variety of different processes ongoing at the time concerning this system of taxation. And it was in the consideration of what was to be the tax paid that I understand the specific political paradigm that has since defined the contextualization of that whom is known as Jesus Christ was created and promulgated. This is incredibly relevant today. I want to just leave it there. Is it somehow blasphemous, heretical, disrespectful, incomplete to request a specific consideration of the political paradigm of Christendom as examined through the context of taxation under occupation? I don't believe it is. I believe it's incredibly appropriate. And that's how I'm going to be moving forward on these matters. At some point in time during the 1980s and through the 90s, there was engaged in the United States a process through what was identified as the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. This occurred concurrent to changes to the tax code in the United States. Among other things the tax code at that time did is it opened up Social Security to be offered to members of the clergy. It also, I understand, correlated with a time frame during which the gas and oil sector in the United States was terming out on what were supposed to be short-term subsidies in order to prepare for a transition out of the traditional gas and oil model and into more renewable energy sources. I will also be using these as context moving forward in terms of the examination that is going to be provided. When we get to matters concerning power and and responsibility for an appropriate contextualization and accountability when it comes to abuses of power. We will also be examining that in the appropriate context. But for now, I will just leave it at this. It's important we acknowledge these matters today. Tomorrow is May 11, 2021. This is going to be 4 years after two very important presidential executive orders were implemented. I'll speak about those matters tomorrow.